O Captain, my Captain, Walt Whitman. Poem. O Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every rack, the prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting. While follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But oh heart, 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 oh the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. O Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for here the flag is flung, for here the bugle trills. For here bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for here the shows a crowding. For here they call, the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Here, Captain, dear father, this arm beneath your head. It is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. My Captain does not answer, his lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm, he has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip the victor ship comes in with object won. Exult O shores, and ring O bells. But I with mournful tread walk the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. Summary. The poem O Captain, my Captain, is in the form of an elegy. The narrator of the poem speaks directly to the fallen captain. The poem not only celebrates the safe return of the ship and the success of the captain in leading his ship, but also mourns the death of the same captain as the ship lost its greatest leader. The poem starts with celebration as the poet talks about the successful return of the ship. In the first stanza, the poet's voice is full of relief and happiness on hearing the cheers of those who returned. But despite the celebration, there is also a cause of sorrow and grief as the poet reveals that the leader of the ship is in no more. In the second stanza, the poet expresses disbelief at the fall of the captain, wishing him to get up and hear the bells of celebration. He remembers how everyone adored the captain and wishes him to come back to life again as he is in denial about his death. In the last stanza, the poet finally shifts from denial and disbelief to acceptance and mourning. He thinks of the captain as a father and as a leader who is with them no more. Analysis. The poem was written shortly after the assassination of the 16th President of America, Abraham Lincoln. The poem celebrates his life and mourns his death. In the poem, the captain who is referred to is none other than Lincoln. Lincoln was seen as a capable leader who led the United States through the horrors of the Civil War, abolished slavery and successfully preserved the union between North and South America. The poem is full of symbolism. Where captain refers to Lincoln, the ship refers to the United States of America after having gone through the Civil War, while the prize won refers to the salvaged Union of America. The end of the Civil War brought about a lot of mixed sentiments in Americans. On one hand, people were relieved that the war had ended, the Union was unharmed and the practice of slavery was abolished. On the other hand though, people were horrified by the atrocities of the war and mourned not only the death of the great American leader, Lincoln, but countless others who had lost their lives to the fight. Whitman's poem gives voice to this mixed sentiment. His poem is at once deeply personal and yet quite universal. He explores the dilemma between celebrating the victory and mourning the loss of those who died in war. The poet is torn between celebrating for the success and mourning the loss of his beloved captain. Ultimately, he ends the poem with the sense of loss and acceptance for the captain's death, setting him apart from the celebrating crowd. O Captain, my Captain, is the only Walt Whitman poem that has a regular meter and rhyme scheme. Though famous as the master of the free verse, Whitman wrote this poem in a strict poetic form organized 3 stanzas composed of 8 lines each. The poem also has a very organized rhyme scheme in the form of AABBCDED. The poem also makes use of repetition as the line, "fallen cold and dead," is repeated at the end of each stanza. Since the poet intended to honor the great leader through this elegy, the somber tone and the organized pattern of poem lends the poem a more dignified tone. The tone of the poem has a great balance between the celebration for the success and the mourning for the dead.